Have you ever wondered about the secret to true intimacy? Not just the physical connection, but the kind that nurtures the soul and strengthens bonds that last a lifetime? Imagine sitting at the feet of a wise elder, hearing timeless lessons about love, respect, and the incredible power of self-awareness in relationships. This video takes you on that journey, a heartfelt conversation between a grandmother and her granddaughter, filled with wisdom that can transform how you view intimacy, self-respect, and authentic connections. From uncovering the delicate balance of giving and receiving love to understanding the importance of setting boundaries and honoring your own feelings, this video will touch on truths we often overlook in life. Stay until the end, as you'll learn not only about building meaningful relationships but also how to nurture the most important one of all, the relationship with yourself. Whether you're seeking clarity in your personal relationships, wondering how to embrace love without losing yourself, or simply yearning for wisdom to guide you in life's complex dance, this video offers something truly special. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I encourage you to click the subscribe button and ring the notification bell to stay updated on all our latest content. I'm eager to hear your thoughts on today's topic. If you enjoy the content, please comment 1 below. If it doesn't resonate with you, leave a 0. Your feedback is crucial as it helps me create better videos that align with your interests. Now, let's get started. The elderly woman leaned back in her chair, her movements unhurried and deliberate, as though time itself bent to her will. Her wise eyes glimmered softly in the amber light of the setting sun, each wrinkle on her face a testament to the countless stories she had lived. She adjusted her shawl with care, a gesture that seemed to signify both the gravity of the question she had been asked and her readiness to respond. Finally, she smiled, a smile so tender and serene it seemed to contain the wisdom of the ages. The silence that lingered before she spoke was heavy with meaning, as if she were gathering thoughts not just from her own mind but from the echoes of generations past. "My dear," she began at last, her voice soft yet steady, each word weighted with thought and care. "Love and intimacy between a couple, these are some of life's greatest mysteries. They are intricate, delicate, and endlessly complex, yet they hold within them the power to transform and to heal. The question you ask, what men think of such intimate gestures, is not an unimportant one. But I would ask you to think beyond it, to delve deeper. You see, the true essence of intimacy lies not in what one person thinks, but in what both feel. And more importantly, in how a woman feels when she chooses to give of herself in such a personal and profound way. That, my dear, is where the real beauty lies." She paused, her gaze drifting momentarily to the horizon as though searching for the right words amidst the fading light. When she spoke again, her tone had deepened, rich with emotion. When a woman offers such a gesture of love, when she chooses to give her husband pleasure in this deeply personal way, it is never just about him. It is about her, too. It is about the connection they share, the trust they have built, and the love that binds them. Yes, many men see these acts as symbols of affection, devotion, even fidelity. For some, it is a way to feel cherished and desired. But let us not forget the woman's perspective. For her, it is so much more than a mere act. It is an expression of her strength, her generosity, her power. The young woman listened intently, her eyes wide with curiosity and a touch of awe. She had not expected such a profound answer, and yet she found herself drawn in, captivated by the depth of her grandmother's words. The elderly woman leaned forward slightly, her hands clasped together, her gaze unwavering. "You see, my child," she continued, her voice growing more impassioned, "there is a kind of magic in giving. By offering such pleasure, a woman claims a power that is uniquely hers. It is a power born of vulnerability, of trust, and of love. It is the power to awaken sensations in her partner that are unlike anything else, sensations that are deeply personal and entirely theirs. In that moment, she is not just giving, she is sharing, connecting, creating something beautiful and irreplaceable. And that, my dear, is a power to be cherished." She paused again, allowing her words to settle like the gentle fall of leaves on an autumn day. The granddaughter remained silent, her youthful face a canvas of thought and contemplation. The grandmother's voice softened as she reached out to pat the young woman's hand. "And yet," she said, her tone now almost a whisper, "it is not just about power. It is also about joy, your joy. When a woman gives freely, willingly, without obligation or expectation, she opens herself to a profound sense of fulfillment. There is a kind of energy that flows through her, an energy that is both emotional and physical. Her body responds with gratitude, her heart with warmth. It is as if the act itself becomes a gift, not just to her partner but to herself." The elderly woman's eyes glistened with unshed tears, her emotions a testament to the truth of her words. "And yes," she continued, her voice steady once more, "many men value these gestures deeply. They may see them as proof of love, as a way to feel closer to their partners. But let me tell you something, my dear. What truly matters is how you feel. Do you feel joy in the act? Do you feel connected, empowered, alive? If the answer is yes, then it is not just a good thing, it is a beautiful thing. But if you feel otherwise, if you feel burdened, pressured, or unsure, then it is something to reconsider. Because intimacy, true intimacy, is never one-sided. It is a dance, a balance, an exchange of love and respect." The granddaughter, emboldened by her grandmother's wisdom, dared to ask the question that had been lingering in her mind. "So," she said hesitantly, "do you think it's good to do it if one feels comfortable with it?" The grandmother smiled, her face lighting up with a warmth that seemed to radiate from her very soul. "Yes, my child," she replied, her voice filled with both certainty and compassion. "If it brings you comfort and joy, if it deepens your connection and makes you feel more alive, then it is not only good, it is a gift. But always remember this, your feelings matter. Your comfort, your joy, your sense of self, they come first. True love, true intimacy, is built on mutual respect and understanding. It is about giving and receiving in equal measure, about finding harmony and peace in the act." She leaned back once more, her gaze returning to the horizon, where the sun had all but disappeared, leaving behind a sky streaked with shades of gold and crimson. "Remember this, my dear," she said, her voice now soft and contemplative. "Love is not about losing yourself for another. It is about finding yourself in the connection you share. It is about becoming more, not less. And when you give from a place of joy and strength, you not only uplift your partner, you uplift yourself." In the quiet that followed, the granddaughter felt a deep sense of clarity and peace. Her grandmother's words had touched something within her, awakening a new understanding of love, intimacy, and the power of giving. As the last light of day faded into the night, the two women sat together in silence, their bond stronger than ever, their hearts full of wisdom and love. The grandmother nodded firmly, her expression resolute yet tender. "If you feel comfortable and happy doing it, my dear, then of course it's good. Intimacy, when shared freely and joyfully, can deepen the bond between two people. But never, ever, do it out of obligation or because you feel you must meet someone else's expectations. A woman's body is a wise, sacred thing, and it speaks to her in ways she must learn to listen to. If you find joy in pleasing your husband in that way, then embrace it without hesitation. But if there is ever a moment where you feel uncomfortable, forced, or unsure, you must honor your own boundaries. That is non-negotiable." The young woman exhaled deeply, as if the weight of unspoken doubts had finally been lifted from her chest. She looked at her grandmother with gratitude, marveling at how the older woman had offered such clarity on a subject shrouded in so much confusion. For the first time, she realized that intimacy wasn't just about meeting the needs of her partner. It was also about nurturing her own sense of comfort, joy, and agency. The grandmother leaned back in her chair, her eyes soft but unwavering. "The key, my dear," she continued, her tone gentler now, "is harmony. When you enjoy it, he will feel it. When you give with affection, trust, and openness, both of you benefit. Intimacy becomes a language that speaks to the very soul when it is mutual, when it is a gift shared freely, not a duty performed reluctantly. And if you find pleasure in making him feel good, If it fills you with a sense of joy and connection, then it's something you can cherish together. But, she added with a knowing smile, never forget that the greatest power in intimacy isn't in the act itself. It's in the trust and respect you build together. Without those, the act loses its meaning. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. The granddaughter sat quietly, her hands clasped in her lap, her mind alive with thoughts. She had always admired her grandmother's ability to speak openly and gracefully about even the most delicate topics, and this moment was no different. The older woman's words carried an undeniable weight of experience, and they resonated deeply, illuminating truths that few dared to discuss. Breaking the silence, the young woman said softly, "Grandma, I never thought of it this way before. I've always focused on what others might think or expect of me. But now I see there's a power in sharing something so personal, and also a responsibility to honor my own feelings. It's like you're saying intimacy isn't just about giving, it's also about staying true to myself." The grandmother reached out, her hand warm and steady as it rested over her granddaughter's. "That's the challenge for so many women," she said, her voice gentle but firm. "We are often taught to prioritize others' needs and expectations over our own. From a young age, we are told that being a good partner means giving, sacrificing, bending. But my dear, true intimacy, real intimacy, is not about sacrifice. It's about partnership. It's about creating a space where both people feel seen, heard, valued, and fulfilled. That kind of connection is built on mutual respect, not one-sided compromise." The granddaughter nodded slowly, her expression thoughtful. "I think I understand now," she said, her voice filled with quiet conviction. "It's okay to give, but it's also okay to say no. It's okay to set boundaries if something doesn't feel right. I never realized how much strength there is in just listening to my own body, my own feelings." The grandmother smiled, her pride and affection evident in the warmth of her gaze. "Exactly, my love. A woman who listens to her body, who understands her own desires, limits, and needs, is a woman who knows her worth. And that knowledge is the foundation of a strong, fulfilling connection with her partner. It's not about striving for perfection or living up to some ideals set by others. It's about being authentic, about knowing yourself and sharing that truth with someone you trust." The room had grown quieter as the last light of the setting sun faded completely. The soft glow of a single lamp illuminated the cozy kitchen, casting long shadows that seemed to embrace the two women in their intimate conversation. The granddaughter felt a profound sense of gratitude wash over her, not just for her grandmother's wisdom, but for the courage and love it took to share it so openly. "Grandma," she said finally, her voice trembling slightly with emotion, "I'm so grateful for this conversation. I never realized how much I needed to hear these words. You've helped me see things in a way I never could before." The grandmother's eyes glistened with unshed tears as she gave her granddaughter's hand a gentle squeeze. "And I'm grateful you asked, my dear. Never be afraid to seek wisdom, even on topics that feel too delicate to discuss. These are the questions that shape our understanding of ourselves and our relationships. And remember, as you move forward in life, always honor yourself first. That's where true intimacy begins, with self-respect, self-love, and the courage to live authentically." The granddaughter sat back, her heart lighter, her mind clearer. She felt as though a veil had been lifted, revealing a new way of thinking about love, intimacy, and her own role in both. As the two women sat together in the quiet glow of the evening, their bond felt stronger than ever, enriched by the shared wisdom and understanding that had passed between them. This conversation, she realized, would stay with her forever, a guiding light in her journey towards self-discovery and meaningful connection. The grandmother's face lit up with a radiant smile as she accepted the bouquet of flowers, their delicate fragrance filling the room. She reached out to clasp her granddaughter's hand, her touch warm and steady. "Oh, my dear," she said softly, her voice brimming with emotion. "You have no idea how much it means to me to hear that. The greatest joy of my life is seeing you grow into the strong, thoughtful, and authentic woman you are meant to be." They sat together in the cozy kitchen, the gentle hum of the world outside a fitting backdrop to their quiet moment of connection. The granddaughter looked at her grandmother, marveling at the woman who had lived through so many of life's trials yet radiated such grace and wisdom. "Your words, Grandma," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "They've given me something I didn't even realize I needed. Permission to prioritize myself, to honor my feelings. For so long, I've been trying to meet expectations I didn't even question, and now I see how much I've been neglecting my own needs." The grandmother nodded, her eyes shining with understanding. "It's a lesson many of us learn too late," she said. "But the fact that you're realizing it now, at this stage in your life, is a blessing. Self-awareness is a powerful thing, my dear. It's the foundation for everything else. Your relationships, your happiness, your sense of purpose. When you nurture yourself, when you listen to your heart and honor your boundaries, you set the stage for the kind of life that is rich and fulfilling." The granddaughter smiled, her heart swelling with gratitude. "I've been reflecting on what you said about intimacy," she said. "It's not just about giving, it's about creating a space where both people feel seen and valued. And that applies to so much more than just romantic relationships. It's about how we show up for each other as friends, as family. It's about building connections that are rooted in respect and authenticity." The grandmother's expression softened, and she squeezed her granddaughter's hand. "You're absolutely right," she said. "Intimacy isn't confined to romance. It's in every interaction where we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, to be honest, to truly connect with another person. And it always begins with the relationship you have with yourself. When you value yourself, others will value you too." They talked late into the evening, their conversation weaving through memories, lessons, and shared dreams. The granddaughter shared how she had been applying her grandmother's wisdom in her own life, setting boundaries, speaking her truth, and embracing her individuality. Each example brought a spark of pride to the grandmother's eyes, her joy evident in the way she leaned in to listen, her head nodding in encouragement. As the night wore on, the granddaughter found herself reflecting aloud on the profound impact her grandmother had on her life. "You've taught me so much, Grandma," she said. "Not just about relationships, but about life, about the courage to be myself, the strength to stand firm in my convictions, and the importance of leading with kindness and respect." The grandmother's eyes glistened with unshed tears, and she reached up to brush a stray curl from her granddaughter's forehead. "And you, my dear, are my legacy," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. "Everything I've learned, everything I've lived through, it all feels worthwhile when I see you carry it forward. You are the proof that our wisdom, our stories, and our love can ripple through generations." In the quiet of the moment, the granddaughter felt an overwhelming sense of connection, not just to her grandmother, but to the lineage of women who had come before her, each one passing down pieces of themselves through words, actions, and love. She leaned forward to hug her grandmother, the embrace filled with a depth of gratitude that words could never fully convey. If you are still watching this video, and find these lessons useful, please comment number 2 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. In the days that followed, the granddaughter noticed the change within her continuing to grow. She carried herself with a newfound confidence, her choices rooted in self-respect and clarity. Conversations with friends and colleagues took on a different tone as she shared the lessons she had learned, her words inspired by her grandmother's timeless wisdom. She found herself drawn to moments of reflection, journaling her thoughts and feelings, her pen guided by the desire to live authentically. One afternoon, while flipping through old photo albums with her grandmother, she stumbled upon a picture of her as a young woman, vibrant and full of life. "You were so beautiful, Grandma," she said, her voice tinged with awe. The grandmother chuckled, her laugh a soft, melodic sound. "And so are you, my love," she said. "Beauty isn't just in the face, it's in the strength of your spirit, in the way you carry yourself, in the kindness you show to others. Never forget that." The granddaughter nodded, her heart full. "I'll never forget," she said. "Thank you for everything, Grandma, for your wisdom, your love, and your endless patience." You've given me more than I can ever repay." The grandmother smiled, her eyes twinkling with a mix of pride and affection. "You repay me every day, my dear," she said, "by living a life that honors who you are. That's all I could ever ask for." And as they sat together, their hands intertwined, the granddaughter knew that this bond, this exchange of wisdom and love, was the most precious gift she had ever received. It was a legacy she would cherish forever, carrying it forward into her own life and passing it down to the next generation with the same warmth and sincerity. The elderly woman smiled, her face radiating warmth, her eyes brimming with love and pride. "I'm so glad my words could help you, my dear," she said softly. "But always remember this, the real wisdom lies within you. What I've done is only hold up a mirror to help you see what was already there. Trust yourself, listen to your heart, and you will always find the answers you need." For a moment, they sat together in a silence that was anything but empty. It was a silence filled with understanding, connection, and an unspoken gratitude that bound them closer than ever. The granddaughter glanced at her grandmother, her heart swelling with admiration and love. She knew this moment would stay with her forever, etched into her memory like a precious keepsake, a reminder of the transformative power of love, understanding, and the wisdom that comes with a life well lived. When the time came to leave her grandmother's house, the young woman lingered at the door, reluctant to let the evening end. As the cool night air wrapped around her, she felt a profound sense of peace. This was more than a simple conversation. It was a turning point, a moment of awakening that she knew would shape her life. She carried with her not only her grandmother's words, but also a renewed appreciation for the depth of insight and love that the older woman embodied. Walking home under the glittering stars, the granddaughter reflected on all she had learned. The crisp night air seemed to cleanse her spirit, leaving her with a sense of renewal and purpose. Her grandmother's wisdom had become a guiding light, not just for how she approached her relationships, but for how she viewed herself and her place in the world. It was a gift, a legacy of love and insight that she vowed to honor and pass on, ensuring that her grandmother's truths would live on in the lives of others. In the days and weeks that followed, the granddaughter noticed subtle yet profound changes taking root in her life. She began to approach her relationship with her partner with newfound honesty and openness. No longer shackled by societal expectations or self-imposed pressures, she found freedom in expressing her authentic self. Conversations that had once felt difficult flowed naturally, deepening the trust and understanding between them. Together, they began to build a foundation that felt stronger and more genuine than ever before. Her grandmother's words resonated far beyond her romantic relationship. Inspired by the wisdom she had received, the young woman began to nurture her connections with friends and family more intentionally. She found herself reaching out more often, offering comfort and guidance to those she cared about. Her grandmother's voice echoed in her own, and she became a source of strength and reassurance for others, sharing the lessons that had been gifted to her. One quiet afternoon, as she sipped tea by her window, she felt an overwhelming urge to preserve her grandmother's wisdom. She wanted to ensure that the lessons of that evening, and the countless others her grandmother had shared over the years, would not be forgotten. Sitting down at her desk, she opened her journal and began to write. Her pen moved across the pages with a sense of purpose, capturing every detail of the conversation. The glow of the setting sun in the kitchen, the sound of her grandmother's steady voice, the weight of each word that had been spoken. She wrote not just for herself, but for future generations, so that one day, her own children or grandchildren might find guidance in these words, just as she had. As she wrote, she felt a profound sense of connection, not just to her grandmother but to the generations of women who had come before her, each one passing down their wisdom through stories, actions, and love. She realized that her grandmother's teachings were not merely advice. They were a legacy, a thread of knowledge and strength woven through time, binding the past to the future. Over the months that followed, the young woman continued to grow. She became more confident in her ability to listen to her intuition and to honor her own boundaries. She found joy in sharing her grandmother's lessons with others, watching as those around her also found clarity and peace through the wisdom she passed on. One day, she returned to her grandmother's house, carrying a bound notebook filled with the lessons she had written down. Handing it to her grandmother, she said, "I wanted to make sure your wisdom lives on, Grandma. This is for us, for everyone who needs it." The elderly woman's eyes glistened with tears as she accepted the notebook. She opened it, running her fingers gently over the pages, a look of profound pride and gratitude on her face. "You've done something beautiful, my dear," she said. "By preserving these words, you've ensured that our bond, our love, and these lessons will endure. This is how we keep the light alive, even after we're gone." The two women embraced, their connection deeper than ever. And as they sat together in the quiet kitchen once more, the granddaughter knew that she was not only a recipient of her grandmother's wisdom but a carrier of it, a bridge between the past and the future. It was a role she accepted with gratitude and purpose, ready to continue the legacy of love, understanding, and authenticity that her grandmother had so graciously passed down. The pages quickly filled with her grandmother's insights on love, intimacy, self-respect, and the profound power of listening to one's own body and heart. As she wrote, the granddaughter found herself immersed in her grandmother's voice, hearing every word as if it were being spoken anew. She realized that her grandmother's wisdom was about so much more than romantic relationships. It was about life itself, how to navigate its inevitable complexities with grace, how to embrace and wield one's inner power, and, most importantly, how to live authentically, free from the weight of societal expectations or misplaced guilt. When the last word was written, she closed the notebook and ran her hand over its cover as if sealing a treasure within. She titled the collection of thoughts, "The Wisdom of My Grandmother," a name she felt encapsulated the depth and beauty of what she had recorded. Sharing it with a few close friends, she was unprepared for their reactions. Many were moved to tears by the raw honesty and profound truths contained within. One friend confessed, "I've never had someone in my life who could speak about these things with such clarity. It's like hearing advice I didn't know I needed until now." If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment number 3 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. The granddaughter was heartened by the impact her grandmother's words had on others and decided to take things a step further. Late one evening, she created a simple blog where she could share excerpts of her grandmother's wisdom. Her first post was titled, "Listening to Your Heart, A Grandmother's Advice." She carefully chose a passage about self-respect and boundaries, themes she believed could resonate universally. To her astonishment, the post quickly gained traction. Readers from across the world began commenting, sharing how the words had touched their lives. "I read this during a difficult time," one message said, "and it felt like a lifeline. Thank you for sharing such beautiful wisdom." Others shared how her posts had inspired them to reflect on their own relationships, their sense of self, and their journeys toward living authentically. Each comment became a testament to the ripple effect of her grandmother's words, a reminder that truth spoken with love could transcend time and distance. One evening, the granddaughter visited her grandmother, bringing a small bundle of printed blog posts bound together with a ribbon. Her excitement was palpable as she handed the collection to her grandmother. "Grandma," she began with a smile, "your words are reaching so many people now. I've started sharing what you taught me, and people are deeply moved. They're writing back, telling me how much your wisdom has helped them. Your voice is making a difference in their lives, just as it has in mine." The elderly woman's hands trembled slightly as she took the pages, her eyes scanning the words she had spoken all those weeks ago. Tears welled in her eyes, and her voice quivered with emotion. "I never imagined that my simple truths could touch so many hearts," she said softly. "But I'm glad they've found a home in others. You've done something beautiful, my dear, by sharing this. It means the lessons I've learned, the love I've carried, won't be forgotten." From that moment forward, the grandmother and granddaughter became an inseparable team. They spent long afternoons in the kitchen, talking over cups of tea, the younger woman jotting down her grandmother's insights as they explored life's lessons together. Their conversations grew into a project of shared purpose, a commitment to bring light and clarity to others, to offer a voice of comfort to those seeking guidance. As the blog grew in popularity, It became a space not just for advice but for heartfelt connections. Readers shared their own stories, asked questions, and even began referring to the grandmother affectionately as Grandma Wisdom. The elderly woman found herself revitalized by this newfound purpose. "I feel as though I'm living another chapter of my life," she once said, her voice tinged with wonder. "And it's all because of you." Years later, as the granddaughter sat in her own cozy kitchen, now with a family of her own, she often thought back to that first conversation with her grandmother. The lessons she had learned had become the foundation of her life, shaping not only her relationships but her sense of self. Whenever she found herself at a crossroads, her grandmother's voice echoed in her mind, offering clarity and strength. One day, her eldest child found the original notebook labeled, "The Wisdom of My Grandmother," tucked away in a drawer. "What's this?" they asked, holding it up with curiosity. The granddaughter, now a mother herself, smiled warmly and took the notebook into her hands. "This," she said, her voice filled with reverence, "is a gift from your great-grandmother. It's filled with lessons about love, life, and the importance of staying true to yourself." She began to read aloud, her children gathering around her as if drawn by the magic of her words. As she spoke, she felt the same connection she had experienced so many years ago in her grandmother's kitchen, a reminder that wisdom, like love, is timeless. And so, the story of that quiet afternoon became a legacy passed down through generations, a ripple that spread far and wide, touching the lives of countless others and reminding them of the beauty found in one heartfelt conversation at a time. Now that you've heard these profound lessons on love, intimacy, and self-respect, what stood out to you the most? Was it the idea of honoring your boundaries, the power of giving freely, or the importance of mutual respect in every connection? Take a moment to reflect and share in the comments below. What is one thing you've learned from this video, and how will you bring it into practice in your own life? Let's start a meaningful conversation and learn from one another. If you enjoyed this video and found it valuable, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories and timeless wisdom. Thank you for watching, and we can't wait to hear your thoughts below. Glowing Star.